I think one of the most valuable things I ever learned running especially food stores, how to make really easy desserts. If it took me all day to make a dessert, I wouldn't have anything to sell. And this easy cranberry and apple cake is one of the greatest ideas for that. I'm gonna make a base with cranberries and Granny Smith apples, sort of that sweet and tart thing together. And then I'm gonna put a batter over the whole thing and just throw it in the oven. It's as easy as it gets. Cranberries are really tart, and it's really nice to have something a little sweet to go with it. I'm just gonna throw this in a big bowl. The other thing about a Granny Smith apple is it has lots of pectin in it. And when this cooks with the cranberries, it's gonna make a nice sort of thick gel. Okay, that's one Granny Smith apple chopped up. Next thing I need is 12 ounces of cranberries. And actually, you can only get them sometime of the year in the fall. And so what I do is I buy lots of bags of them, and I freeze them, and they freeze perfectly. You would never know that they've been frozen. Half a cup of brown sugar. 1 tablespoon of grated orange zest. I always say this, the zest has more flavor than the juice, so I always make sure to use it. It should be about half the orange. I can already smell it. And I think I'm gonna do the juice also. So about 1/4 cup of freshly squeezed orange juice right into it. And that's gonna allow the juices from the cranberry and the juices from the apple to sort of melt together. That should be about 1/4 cup. Next is cinnamon, about 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. This actually has cinnamon in the fruit and also in the topping. So I'm just gonna mix this together, and then I'm gonna make this delicious, almost like a pancake batter that goes right on top. Smells good so far. Okay, into the pan. So I'm just using this fluted pan, but you can use a glass pan, any kind of a 10-inch round pan. Works perfectly. Okay, next the batter that goes on top of all that gorgeous fruit. Okay, first I need 2 eggs. I'm gonna whip that on medium-high speed for about 2 minutes. I really love easy recipes because no matter what anybody says, entertaining's hard. When I say easy recipes, I don't mean like 3 ingredients you just throw together. What I mean is something that's really no stress, that you can do, you know it's gonna come out perfectly every time, and that's what I consider easy. And that's just what this recipe is. So I'm just gonna turn the mixer down to medium. I'm gonna add a cup of sugar. 1/4 pound of butter that's been melted and cooled. That just makes it really easy to mix in. When you're cooking, the measuring is not quite as important. When you're baking, it has to be absolutely precise. A teaspoon of vanilla. I love good vanilla. A little bit of sour cream, 1/4 cup, just to give it some richness. Okay, just mix it until it's smooth. That looks gorgeous. Okay, next I need flour. So I need a cup of flour. Just lighten it and then just scoop it until it's over the cup and then level it off. And that'll come out accurately every time. So on low speed, just slowly add the flour while it mixes in. And then you won't get any lumps. Last thing, salt. I need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Really brings out the flavor of the vanilla. Okay, that's it. You don't want to overmix it once the flour's in, because then it makes it tough. It'll be like bread. You want to just treat it really gently. What I do is give it a last stir with a spatula. Okay. So I'm just going to pour the batter right on top of the fruit. This is actually something between a pie and a cake. It's got a lot of fruit in the bottom and a little batter on the top, and you don't have to make pie crust. That works for me. Just make sure most of the fruit is covered. So I'm going to do a little cinnamon and sugar on top. So I need a tablespoon of sugar. Just going to mix them together. And just about 1/8 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now, if you use too much cinnamon, it has sort of a burnt taste, and it actually looks burnt. So you don't want to use too much, just enough to give it enough flavor. So just put those together. And then I'm going to sprinkle it right on top. It's going to give the batter lots of flavor. I'll just sprinkle it lightly all over the top. Perfect. Into the oven, 325 degrees for about 55 to 60 minutes, and that's really easy, cranberry and apple cake. Cake smells done. So good. Oh. Oh, this smells so delicious. So I just want to make sure it's done. You can sort of tap the top and feel that it is. But the only way to really know for sure is a toothpick. So toothpick in the middle. The fruit's going to be wet. You just want to make sure the batter's done. And it is. It comes out clean. Perfect. I do this really informally. Wait till you see the cranberries and apples on the bottom of it. It's really like a pudding. You can serve it warm at room temperature, but hot is even better. Oh, who wouldn't want that for dessert?